I'm good. How are you?
Oh man, I'm looking forward to Friday. Yeah,
Amen to that.
yeah, looking forward to Friday. Promise you that. Yeah, the daughter got engaged Christmas Day, so
Oh,
now we're talking about trying to get ready for a wedding. So
ooh.
yes, and she's high maintenance to her little butt, and so
There's nothing wrong with that because I am too.
hey, I ain't mad at you. I got it, man. You can tell I've been married for a minute. It's be 37 years next month because I don't know. I ain't know about no cake tasting. Come on, man. Just go to Publix, man. When I got married, my mother-in-law made us a cake.
Times are changing.
A cake tasting. I said, God, look, an engagement photo shoot.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, all right, okay, yeah, okay.
Lots of opportunities to spend money.
Yeah, uh-huh. And I was like, you can do all of this for $50 downtown in the courthouse.
And that included the blood test, didn't it?
Oh man, yeah, wow. I said okay. I said okay. So yeah, so nothing else. She's giving me something to do. Man, man, she is. I'm kind of familiar with Submittable. They get ready to do this because actually this is a platform that the county uses. So it's kind of interesting. Uh, it's pretty cool with everything that it does. So what do you guys do over at the resource center, Diane?
We are a pregnancy resource center, so
Okay.
we do pregnancy tests and ultrasounds and parenting classes and labor and delivery classes and counseling and STI testing, you name it, we do it.
So what would it take? 'Cause I'm the CEO at Sickle Cell. So if I wanted to have some parenting classes, how would that look for families over here, sickle cell, for example?
Okay.
Okay,
Our parenting classes are available online.
okay,
So our clients just establish themselves as a client, and then we can send them, we usually meet with them first just so that we can determine what area of our classes that they would be most beneficial to them.
okay.
Because we have everything from prenatal to afterbirth to discipline to potty training, and then life skills. There's just a whole, I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of classes to do.
I think that would be a great reach, man. I'm glad we're talking.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
we
yeah.
have we're over newborn screening for when newborns as far as
Uh-huh.
they may actually have sickle cell disease or trait.
Right,
So there's always a parenting component for these new mothers right
right. And you're
now.
based in Mobile.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, well, there is actually a women's resource center that is not affiliated with United Way, but they are affiliated with the same organizations we are, and they
Uh-huh.
have the same programs. And they have an office in Mobile, one in Sims, and one in Saraland.
Really
So
would. Yeah.
I can send you some information if you'd like me to.
Oh, definitely, I would. Please.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
you located?
We're in Jackson, Alabama, so we're in Clark County.
Oh, I know about that. We actually came up did some training for Jackson Medical.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
you did? Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, they had yeah, because what it was we were talking about compassionate communication training. And
Hmm.
evidently, there was a gap as far as it's a different language with patients and their physicians, so they're trying to
Right.
clear that gap up some. And yeah, yeah, definitely. I went to Tuscaloosa last weekend. I had been up there in a while. I had no idea that Thomasville, Jackson, and all that has grown as much as it has. I said, God,
Yes, we are not so much well, I guess population wise, it really hasn't changed that much, but
yeah.
as far as resources and things like that,
Well, I saw
and the
Taco
food,
Bell.
yeah, yeah, we are the fast food capital of the world.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Yeah,
don't have any sit down restaurants, but
yeah.
we've got fast food.
I got you. I'm pretty familiar with your area because actually
Yeah.
I'm a musician at my church,
Okay.
and I've done a couple of concerts up in Walker Springs.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with Walker Springs. That's just right down the road from us.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm kind of familiar with that area pretty well. I go to church in
Okay.
Saraland.
Okay. Well, my daughter lives in Saraland.
Okay.
So yeah.
I think everybody lives in Saraland now. God,
I probably so.
man. Oh,
I'm
we
surprised they're letting us talk.
yeah, yeah. And now what would really be funny if they had everybody in the building listening to us right now.
They probably do. It says it's being recorded.
Yeah, yeah, definitely,
That's
definitely.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. We ain't said nothing we can't say again.
That's right. Amen to that. Yep. They'll probably cut us off at some point.
Oh yeah, they will. So how long you been working there?
20 years.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay,
How about you?
be 18 months here. I worked on the federal side a long time.
Okay.
I was in Birmingham, and then I was CO and worked in public transit and city government.
Okay.
Yeah,
We could use some public transit here.
yeah, yeah. I know. Yeah, I know. Um, I saw something come up, Firefly, something popped up. Find it hard to believe we're the only two on here right now.
No, I see.
Oh, I see 17.
Yeah, yeah.
I see 17 logged on. I guess those 17 just listening to us talk.
Well, you snooze, you lose, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Hey, everybody, can y'all hear me online?
Yes.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
They thumbs up.
We'll take it. I don't have my volume turned up here. Oh. All right. I'm going to share my screen with y'all so that y'all can see the PowerPoint that we're about to do. Thank y'all for being online. Oh, I'm going to request sharing rights from Kelly. I need sharing rights. Got it. I got it. Okay.
Right up here.
It is. Oh, we're unfrozen. We're unfrozen. Sorry, y'all. Technical difficulties always. It gets some root in there and all of it. I think half all the rest of it. Yeah. It didn't take me solid like.
Is it working?
Okay, that's what they see. Yep. Do y'all see the full screen of the slideshow? Thumbs up is perfect. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Bless you, Rachel. Thank you. All right, we're gonna get started. Thank y'all so much for your patience.
She said 35 seconds? Yeah. It might be helpful for them. What is, where's the phone?
Y'all hear me? I guess so. I guess they didn't hear me at all.
Do y'all think we need the mic?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't.
We don't have that power.
I don't have a volume upstairs. I was told it like this. Thank you for your patience. Thank y'all for being here. We're gonna go ahead and get things started so that we can get things wrapped up in time for our Alice presentation, but we've got a lot of really good information for y'all. Some stuff from the partner agency surveys that y'all filled out, some things from the input form that y'all filled out. I know y'all are very sick of seeing my name in your inboxes with an attached Microsoft form. But I appreciate y'all every time we're filling them out because like we say all the time, we don't know what we don't know. So it's helpful to have your feedback as partner agencies with the shopping the things that we don't. So thank you for being here. Thank you for continually filling out my forms. I would like to tell you that they're gonna stop, but they most assuredly are not. So please keep filling them out. And I'm gonna pass this to Desi.
Awesome. Thanks, Lizzie. Ooh, might be a lot louder for me. I'll talk back. Like just a second, what Lindsay said, this is new. But if there's anything that y'all see today that you really like or don't like, or things that we need to add to it, where it's movable. And so please let us know if there's anything you want to see changed, but we're going to try to have like a presentation format, like Lindsay said, at each partner agency meeting, where we incorporate the feedback that we received. Lindsay sent some. If there was anything that agencies wanted to be added to the agenda ahead of the partner agency meeting, so we're going to do that every time. That's from some agency feedback, or if there's anything you want to address, and it could be addressed anonymously, or it could be addressed if you want to talk about it. Feel free to just let us know. We'll make sure to save time and space for you to do that. It clicks really slow. You might get a new computer. Okay, so we wanted to start out. Some of the feedback that we got in the survey is the who's who of United. And we know we had new team members, we had new board members. And so we wanted to make sure that y'all know who those people are. So our fiscal year is from July 1 to June 30th every year. And so our board cycles on that same rotation as well. And so right now, these are our current trustees of our board. Audra Harper is our chair, Joe Callaghan as vice chair, Peggy Baldwin is our secretary, Anna Finance, Glenn Agnew is our community impact chair, and Dr. Kent is our media cash chair. And then here's some of the members of the companies they represent. And then as a lot of y'all know, Amy Risser with Big Brothers Big Sisters is your agency representative. And so some of the role of the agency representative is to be your advocate. And so if there's anything that you want from us that we could do more, do better, you can feel free to reach out to Amy anytime, and she will be happy to translate that information to us. She attends our board meetings when she's able, certainly, and advocates for the agencies on behalf, and so she's your representative. So if there's something that you want said in that space or brought up about our processes or anything like that, Amy's a great person to reach out to for that. You can also reach out to Lindsay and I anytime.
We have some board members.
Yeah, that's a great idea. If you're a board member, would you mind standing up? Sorry to put you all on the spot. 3 gold stars. You've got Glenn Agnew, our community impact chair, John Garrett, and Guillermo Veloso, aka Billy, or something you might know him like that. John is a little newer to our board. Glenn and Guillermo have been on our board for quite some time. All right, so another feedback that we got in the agency survey was who works for United Way and what do y'all do? So Trustee Mixler, President, CEO, I've been with United Way 7 years. This might be my 7th year. I started out as the Vice President of Resource Development, and that position changed to our Director of Philanthropy, which is Lauren Lucky Mers. And so, I mean, y'all know my primary job is to do anything administrative with our team, work with our board of trustees, and then serve our departments, which are resource development, community impact, marketing, and the administrative financial functions of what we do. So that internal team management, kind of budgeting and long range planning. Sarah Knox, Sarah Lee Way, her favorite picture. Sarah's our finance specialist. And the main thing from Sarah is that once agencies receive an allocations or designations payment, and those are set up on a payment, a monthly payment cycle, usually Wilkins Miller kind of sets that cycle up in collaboration with Sarah. If y'all have any questions on, and we'll send letters out awarding the agencies or letting the agencies know the funding that they were awarded, the designations they would receive, and what that schedule is. If you ever need an additional copy of that letter or have questions, hey, I got a payment, I'm not sure what it was. Bonus money for something, maybe sometimes we have a particular donor. This happens with us a little more at the end of the year. They might get an end of the year contribution and they break down their contribution, how they want it designated. And some of our donors want it done immediately. And so we will send those gifts out immediately and not wait to put it in a regular designation cycle if they ask that of us. And so we try to send those along and accompany that with a letter as well to say, as long as the donor lets us, here's the donor, here's what they designated, here's their address or contact information, so you can send a thank you note as well. If you ever have any questions about those payments or those donors or want more information, Sarah is your go-to person here. Kelly Morgan, Kelly in the back. Kelly is one of our newest team members. Kelly is our new operations coordinator. And she has been incredible. She has reorganized the ship a lot better and has us running very efficiently. Kelly, Sarah, and Delina are going to be the primary people that answer the phone if you call our office. And so they can always help you with anything that you need, but Kelly helps set up she helps with our facilities management at our office. She helps with meeting management. She sets this meeting up. Keep an eye out for her email, K Morgan, for meeting invitations or calendar invites. And if y'all want those sent to anybody else but you or who they're going to, just let her know and she can add whoever you want to the calendar invitation. Lauren Lucky, I mentioned Lauren a minute ago. Lauren has been promoted to our Director of Philanthropy, much deserved promotion. She is incredible and she leads all of our philanthropic efforts with her team that we are building out. And trying to think, Lauren is the primary person leading the resource development team. Malcolm Johnson, who is new, yep, you're next, I'm glad you are. He's our new corporate relations manager. We're very excited to have him. Malcolm will be the campaign liaison for the partner agencies kicking off. So Malcolm is y'all's new person on the campaign side of things. He and Lauren are working together in collaboration on overall fundraising, donor cultivation, sponsorship requests, and things like that. Sierra Skipper. Everybody loves these giant photos of themselves. I think they cringe when their face pops up. Sierra is our manager of regional development and county relations. So she works out of our Groveville office. We have the downtown office in Mobile and our Groveville office in downtown Groveville. And Sierra serves Choctaw, Clark, and Washington County out of that office. Anybody at any time, if you want to serve clients or have a meeting at the office in Groveville, you're welcome to reach out to Sierra. And she can help set up the meeting space with you. So she does the same thing. She kind of is a unique in her position that she sits on the resource development team and the community impact team. So she raises funding in the 3 counties, and then she also does community impact support. So if y'all are trying to have any outreach initiatives or anything like that, Sierra is your go-to. She grew up in Groveville and is very well connected in the community. So she'd be happy to help y'all with anything like that. She plans county day of caring events and our annual meetings that take place in the counties. And we're going to make sure that all of y'all are invited to those. They're different formats, but some are lunches, some are dinners. But we would love for y'all to come if your agency serves any additional county footprint outside of Mobile. It's a great place to connect with community members. We have committees that are representative of the communities in each county that Sierra is the primary liaison on. They're incredible people. They're well connected. They're the people you want to know. So if you are doing work in any Clark, Choctaw, or Washington County, please reach out to Sierra and she can get you connected to those committee members. Delina was born at United Way. Selena's our resource development specialist, and she operates more internally in our office. She processes all campaign contributions and donations that go into our ANDAR, which is our donor tracking system. So she inputs pledges, donor management. If you ever have a question also about contact information for a donor, Delina can help you with that. She pulls financial reports from our that used to be called global corporate leaders, our national partners that donate to our area as well. And you also might catch her on the phone if you call. All right, Lindsay, y'all know Lindsay? Lindsay is the agent primary agency. She's our director of community engagement and agency relations. She's going to be your primary go-to for all things outside of your internal campaign that you might run. She'll set up days of caring. She's your advocate. She's your she works with all things partnership, allocations. Is it the mic? Agency and the primary agency liaison and any community outreach and Mobile Day of Caring activities. So she's right, you'll probably do hear a lot from her lately, especially on surveys. And this is all trying to come from agency feedback that we receive, so y'all can have more of a say and input and influence in how we operate. And I hope that y'all see those things and those changes kind of coming to light as soon as y'all let us know, so we can be accommodating in that sense. Brad Martin. Brad is down here on the front row. Most of y'all probably know Brad. Brad is our VITA coordinator, and we are happy to see him in person today because he has been preparing taxes. I think we already have 1,054 that Brad and his almost 30-person entire volunteer team has led this year. If y'all have any employees that would like their taxes done, you can reach out to Brad or Lindsay to help get that set up. I know recently Brad was at Mulherron doing some taxes for either a combination of employees or clients. So we can do either of those things, and we would love to do that. Y'all know that our programs, our purpose is to serve you first. And so we want to make sure that y'all know and that y'all's teams have access to the programs that we operate at United Way first and foremost. And so that's for anybody that makes under 69,000 this year, $69,000, English as a second language, disability, any person with disability, English as a second language for MACE. Over 65.
Yeah.
No one in here. And so we would love for y'all to connect with Brad, and Lindsay can get that set up. Now tax season does officially end on April 15th, but Brad, y'all can file extensions.
We can file all the way until e-file is turned off, usually in November.
Okay. So a lot of times the people that Brad sees, tax season is very heavy from when the IRS opens at mid-January to April 15th when all taxes are all due. But a lot of people that they see outside of that primary time frame have multiple years, they haven't filed for several years. There's a lot of stress and anxiety around that. So Brad and their team help get those back taxes filed and hopefully get some returns and some refunds. So please reach out to him, even if it's after April 15th and you'll have a team member that needs support because they can help. He also helps manage our Volunteer Connect platform. So if you need anything with that, need to be approved in the system, need to set up a profile, Brad can help you get that situated. And if anybody doesn't know what that is, that's like the dating app between volunteerism and corporate partners or volunteers that want to support.
I prefer to refer to it as career builder for volunteer jobs.
Career builder for volunteer jobs. It keeps track of your volunteer hours. It's great. You can go on there and tag the different needs that you're passionate about, arts, animals, and homelessness, and then it'll send you emails for activities there. Leslie Strider.
I thought it was fascinating that her picture was the best one.
Leslie did this presentation and she is our marketing director.
All of them were taken on the same day.
Leslie. Leslie leads our marketing and our strategic communications, our brand manager. She collaborates with United Way Worldwide on new branding. Y'all have seen probably some of our new branding, new logo that's coming out at the national level. If y'all are members of multiple United Ways, and you might want to know why one has a new logo and one has an old logo, you could be an early adopter to the new logo. So we were some didn't choose to do that, which is fine. And I think we have until December 26th.
Yeah, we have the 6 and the other United Ways that didn't, they have till spring.
28. So y'all might see, you know, if your partners are multiple United Way, the branding changing over a few year period of time. So anything with advertising, PR, I know Leslie sends y'all emails too, asking for photographs. It's because we want to highlight y'all at any opportunity that we can, and your clients and the great work that you're doing. And bring that connectivity to our donors so they can see your work in action, even if y'all aren't there. We want to facilitate that. So that's why she asked for those photographs. So please send them anytime you have them. Feel free to just copy Leslie, send them over. She also helps with any media relations. She's great connectivity to our media partners. If y'all, I mean, I know y'all are well versed. Many of y'all are really well versed in your media relations. But if there's everybody you want to get to, or that you really want to get in front of, you want to pitch a story to, Leslie can help make that connection. She leads a marketing committee that's made up of our board members and outside marketing leaders in the marketing space. So she can help you with that. She also currently leads to the state combined campaign. It always goes away from Leslie and then comes back to Leslie. So she's just always present. And so thank y'all for y'all's participation in that. We have some more, I think, application reviews that are happening this week to finalize that process for this year. And she manages our website. So if y'all ever want anything posted on our website, for now, Greg will be taking that over soon. So Greg is our new marketing coordinator. Greg is leading mostly our social media. So y'all have probably seen a lot of our social media outreach pushed out. Greg is leading that and loves content. So if there's ever anything that y'all want shared in our social media, hiring, events, anything y'all have going on, send it to Greg and he will get it posted. All right, so on those slides too, we went ahead and put everybody's headsets on purpose. I'm sorry that they're so front row and so big. And we put their email addresses in there. We're going to send this presentation out so it can go out to you, so y'all can have it after the meeting, and you can send it to anybody on your team or your board or whoever might want to know how things are operating. All right. So partner agency survey, we sent this out after the agency breakfast in January, and we just wanted to highlight some of the touch points. I will say that we had 19 responses, 21. So 21 responses came in for the agency survey. We were hoping to get a little more, but I know surveys can feel like the last thing you want to read or do in your email box when you're already so busy. So we understand. But we wanted to walk through the feedback with y'all today. And so y'all shared some great ideas and some great feedback, and y'all see those over the next two slides. Most of the individuals that responded to the survey felt very supported or somewhat supported by the United Way. We were pleased that we didn't feel we didn't have any feedback that those who felt under supported by us. But if you didn't get a chance to fill out the survey and you would like to get it, it's probably still open live.
Yeah.
We can resend it, you can fill it out. Or if you just want to let Lindsay and I know, you feel free, or Amy, feel free to email any of us and just let us know if there's anything that we can focus on. Okay, what aspect of the partnership of United Way is most valued to your organization? Community was one of the biggest responses that we got. It was the network of agencies that work together, the community support, the awareness that is brought. We did have several with tax exemption, which, you know, we're grateful to be able to offer that as well too. We actually asked a couple agencies about their tax exempt status. One agency receives
1.2 million tax exemption.
Can't imagine how much we're spending if you're saving that much money, but that's wonderful. And there was another one that was around 200,000, 190.
It was like
600,000. So some of the agencies do not see funding out of allocations. And they are grateful for the sales tax exemption that they get. And oftentimes are really great partners. They're still present, they're still available, they're still wonderful to reach out with, that they don't ask for funding out of the pool. And they're just grateful to receive that sales tax exemption. Now imagine if they didn't receive that and they didn't have another way to obtain it, that's $1,600,000, $90,000 that would have to come out of their budget that they just saved from being a partner agency of United Way. So
Both of those agencies are the ones that don't request allocations.
allocations money. So that's amazing. If you weren't aware that you are sales tax exempt by being a United Way agency, just get with us and we can get that information to you. Sarah also helps send those letters out. That if sometimes our partners have been visited in the past by the city, or somebody saying that you owe money or owe taxes. And in some cases, depending on your business operations, you might actually do that. And we just work through that with you and with the city. It just depends on what your business does. Most of the time, you don't actually. This recently happened a year or so ago, and it caused quite a ruckus. I think the city had hired some new people in the revenue department. They went and visited some of those shops and told them you owed all this money, and it was really scary and nerve wracking. So we got on the phone with them and we're like, with the boss, and was like, this is not right, Anyway, so she worked through it with us. She was phenomenal. We have her contact information, and we're happy to call them on your behalf anytime something like that happens. We know that can be really nerve wracking, the last thing you expect to hear on a random Tuesday. So we're grateful to help with that. But just let us know if you need a letter for anybody saying that we are in fact sales tax exempt as a United Way agency. We send the list of partners to the state every year. So there's the state and city, don't talk to each other, as they both told us. Neither one of them shares the information with the other one. So the state might know you're exempt and the city might not yet, but we're now sending the list to both parties. So let us help you if you have any issues there. In what ways can we strengthen our partnership? So this was really a really important question to us and something that we always want to know, whether it's the time you get a survey or not. Please know you can always reach out to us and let us know ways that we can better collaborate and strengthen the partnership. Although in a couple of questions that many people responded that community was so important to them, that connectivity with the partner agencies, when we honed in on some of the specific responses, they wanted us to kind of facilitate more direct conversations between groups of agencies that work together or have cross, functionality or serve similar clients. And so we talked through about how in future partner agency meetings, we can have breakout sessions, we can have a facilitator that can come and put agencies in different groups. So you can move around and maybe meet agencies that you've already collaborated with, but you didn't know everything that they did, or maybe those that you've never had the opportunity to collaborate with. And so we were really excited about that expansion. And I know some of y'all who have been agencies for a long time and have known just each other personally for a long time feel really well connected, and y'all know each other. But then as we have new agencies and new team members that work for our partners, they don't know that. And so we would love for y'all to help be a mentor to them and help kind of show them the way and help teach them what that connectivity looks like, if and we'll build opportunities for that to occur. Any benefits of the partnership you'd like us to expand on? So some folks said different, they said more visits to the agency. So we're setting up a system to come back and do that. They asked for our board to be part of those. So we've invited the board members to come join on site visits for partnership. And somebody said, I think more videos. So y'all might hear from Greg soon. He's doing partner agency spotlights. If you haven't heard from him yet, he will get to you. There's 49 wonderful agencies. And so that takes some time just to get through calling everybody and setting those up. But you will hear from Greg soon. And I'm trying to think. Meet more effectively. So that was a response. We'll see that over there. And most of the feedback around that was the reporting out in partner agency meetings at the end. I think people feel like it takes too much time and it's not as effective as it could be. And so what we're going to try to do for those who really maybe like that aspect, if you have something that you want us to know or share, send it to us. Send it to Greg and Leslie, and they will get it posted on social media, send it out in our newsletters, whatever you want. But we are gonna kind of step away from that aspect in the partner agency meeting. We're gonna go around the room and everybody's gonna feel like they need to say something. And if they don't say something, they're not doing any work or something. You know, everybody has to stress that. So we're not gonna do that anymore. But of course, if there is anything that you want us to mention, you want it on the agenda, you want brought up, let Lindsay know. She sent the emails out asking for you to add something into the agenda or something that you just want us to speak about, and we're happy to do that on your behalf at that time. Somebody also said that we could help by redirecting volunteers to partner agencies if United Way doesn't have events on the horizon. And we are happy to continue doing that. Most of the time, you know, if we have a specific volunteer need, it might be like stuffing a mailer or folding t-shirts for daycare or something like that. But most of the time, when our corporate partners reach out to us and they want to volunteer, we try to connect them to an agency. And sometimes they might say, I only want to help an agency that's helping our youth. Or other times I might be like, just send me a list of 5 in this space and we'll go from there. And so we work with them. And there's probably better ways where we could show y'all that. That happens kind of behind the scenes where we're working with them to facilitate those volunteer opportunities. And then sometimes you might see, Lindsay, again, an email from Lindsay that says, hey, somebody really wants to, and sometimes we get really last minute requests where people are like, this Friday, can 5 people come somewhere and do something? And, you know, we try to get with y'all and to accommodate that as best we can. So we certainly want to encourage volunteerism, but we know that sometimes that can feel like a burden. We don't want you to feel like you have to create a project. And we certainly don't want day of caring or volunteerism to be stressful. We just want it to take away a burden that y'all might have. And also anytime throughout the year, this year we're doing day of caring the whole month of April up to May 1st for the big day, and then beyond probably. We're doing a lot more collections. We know some of y'all, it's hard to create a volunteer project where people can come on site. Some people can't come to your location, or you might not have one. And so we're trying to, I think Lindsay sent an email out or was pulling together a list of items that y'all needed from like detergent, toiletries, you know, you name it, that your clients can use. And a lot of times our banking partners, like we can't let people leave the bank to volunteer, but we're happy to get our employees and our clients to drop something off, socks, anything. And so just let us know anytime throughout the year that if y'all are looking for something like that, or have a really urgent need, because we don't have to wait a day of caring to do it. And a lot of times we have corporate partners that want to do it throughout the year, not just during that time. Do you find participating in rallies beneficial? 16 people said yes. 4 said no, and 2 said somewhat. This did surprise us a little bit because we had heard so much feedback about it just taking too much time or it not always being the best use of time, and some people felt that way. But we were pleased that the people that responded to the survey felt that it was. We talked about one of the things that we're going to do is send an email, send a survey, a format that if you want to participate in rallies, you have the option to do so. And you can let us know if you want to be on our list of those to call. If you never want to do it, let us know. We don't want to be a thorn in your side. And we don't want to cause, undue stress in an already busy environment when you're trying to, serve your mission and your clients. And so Lindsay will send it out. Let us know if you want to be on the rally list. If you don't want to be on the rally list, we understand. I will say, oftentimes when we hit campaign rallies, the person that spoke has the most designations on a pledge form every time. Delina's like, I've touched hundreds of thousands of pledge forms throughout her short life.
You can normally tell who the agency speaker was, what agency they were from every time when the packet comes in.
And a lot of times, some of our corporate partners, they're giving the person the pledge card right then, and fill it out before they leave, and then they give it us before we leave the building, and they don't have time to stew and research. Now there's the QR code on the back has lists of the agencies. We talk through other agencies. We try to encourage people to the website and visit agencies. We always learn more about all the agencies that are serving the community. And a lot of times there are so many of y'all that they don't even know all that they are doing. So we try to steer them there. But I think it's just, your first person in sight, your first in mind, and they're asking for the format right then, and they just are like, great, and they do it. So we are grateful if you can come, but no hard feelings. It's not worth time. We really understand.
And a lot of those comments said that y'all did it because y'all felt like it was beneficial to us.
So if it's not beneficial to you and you're doing it just because of us, then please know that you don't have to. We don't want you to feel obligated to do this.
Yeah, we feel that it's beneficial. I mean, we feel that that's why we've asked for so long for y'all to come, is we feel like when they can really hear, from y'all, your voices, the people you serve, it makes it feel good to give. You know, it doesn't feel as just, we're United Way, we raise a lot of money, we give a lot of money back out to a lot of important people. It's really more personal. You're talking about that one person whose life was changed because of somebody's support. And so we appreciate it, but we also understand. One thing that the United Way of Central Alabama does is they have a mission moment, and so don't feel like if y'all can't come to an agency that we won't speak about you, because we will. But their resource development team intentionally brings up just a different agency, and they share a story about it. I don't even know if they ask the partners to come to rallies. I think they don't, and that's how they accomplish that. They just roll through different mission moments for different agencies. And so that's why we ask that in the partnership allocation or the allocations funding report. We take that data in the funding report and we try to use it as a mission moment if y'all can't be there. And we really do, our team reads through it. We know what your responses are, because we want to be y'all's voice even if you can't be in the room. And so we really pay attention to what that mission moment is. You might see it featured in a bubble on our social media page. It might be in a PowerPoint presentation or we're presenting to like a Rotary Club or something like that. And we try to include that in there so they really understand. What time is it? 10. I was sorry, kind of late. Sorry, I need to probably hurry, but comfortable do you feel asking the questions or providing feedback? Most everybody said extremely comfortable. And so we are happy, we're very grateful for that. If you don't feel comfortable responding to this survey, we understand. Please feel free to email us, send us a note, drop it under our door. We don't have to know who you are. But we want to be the best steward of y'all and your missions and your agency as best we can. So please let us know how to best serve you anytime. The question for in what ways can we foster more open dialogue, provide support, or offer clarification? Lindsay kind of broke this down into 4 main categories. So the strategy category, updates to funding, applications was a marked improvement. So we're going to try to send out more constant and consistent communication about that. If y'all haven't had a chance to see the new funding process, we hope y'all dive in. Partnership application process. We hope you dive in. It's due April 17th, but you can do it anytime before that. And the funding, the allocations application will also be right now submittable, and it'll be the same process. If you have any trouble with that, please let Lindsay know. I know she's visited with some of y'all and walked through the platform. She's happy to do that. Or let her know if you have any questions. The goal is to save time on your end. It doesn't let people submit incomplete information. And so we won't get to the end or past the due date and realize something was accidentally missed and be like, well, I didn't submit it on time. All that is avoided. We can see how long it takes applications to fill out. We really try to streamline it. And if we ask a question in there, it was either because we're required to know the information by United Way Worldwide, or something that was really important or vital. We really try to trim down the questions that were being asked in there. Share vital information more quickly. A lot of times Brad is sitting refreshing his computer every day for the January date of when the IRS is going to open the portal. That is just a moving target every year. And this past year was really difficult with kind of waiting on the federal government to work through what the tax season was going to look like. And that's not just with VITA, that was with even our personal information. So we try to get that out as soon as possible, but we're going to do more targeted like social media, newsletter, outreach as soon as we know that it's open, to let y'all know, so y'all can go ahead and start having clients sign up. Also, y'all might see if y'all do go on there, your clients on there and try to sign up for an appointment. The reason why the appointments aren't scheduled throughout the end of the year is because it's solely volunteer based. We have to have the volunteers that are able to serve at the sites to file the taxes in order to open the appointments. And so as the volunteers lock in for a certain time, Brad immediately opens appointments on the portal. So if you look at them on a Tuesday and it doesn't look like there's any, you might go back on Wednesday and there might be some. But we have to, it's entirely volunteer led as far as who the filers are. Lindsay's bringing back the agency newsletter. So we'll be bringing that out. If there's anything you want to include in there, let you know. We got great, kind of good energy on operations, staff update, who's what and what positions. Like we said, we'll email this out. We invite our whole team to join us. They might be coming to all the agency meetings too. And y'all feel free after this, if you have time, to break out and talk to any of them. If there's something they can help you with, they're happy to do it. And visit agencies more consistently. We're gonna start doing now. More direct funding or connecting to funding opportunities. We're gonna try to figure out what that looks like. We're happy to do that. I think now it happens a little bit more organically, like if a grant comes across our plate, we're like, we don't qualify for it, it's not something we are gonna apply for, we'll send it out to agencies that we know might qualify for it. We try to just email it out as they come across our system. I don't think there's anything on that. I don't understand the grant process since it's changed. So like I said, reach out to Lindsay. She's already visited with some folks. Please, she was happy to help you understand that process. Anybody want a minute? I saw everybody's head in here. The kid in class with the gum. Lindsay is happy to come by and walk through the process with you, set up a Zoom and understand. We try to make it really easy. Just so y'all know, before we released it, we sent it to the partner agency executive committee too, to test the system to see if it was easy to get into, what hiccups happened. And so we hope that it is a lot easier. It feels easier for us, like even on our end. I know setting it up was a challenge, but it's set up. And all the documents will be in one place. It's designed purposely to retain certain information year over year, so you don't have to keep going in and filling out like your name or your EIN and there's certain locked fields. And so this year will be year one where we're setting up a profile. I know one of the questions some people asked was when you go like look for your name, your agency wasn't in there, and it scared some people like, why am I'm not in the system. It's just because this is now the first time that you're putting yourself in there. And so year over year, you should see yourself on the drop down menu. How are funding amounts prioritized and distributed? Funding amounts are vague and not transparent. So that the funding that the agencies receive is on our website. We put it on there every year. There can be a little bit of a lag from the second the first person gets called to get their award. Or their letter to when that list is put up there before we can call and talk through it with 49 agencies. That could take 25 to 50 hours to do. We want to have an opportunity for phone conversations. If agencies want it, you don't feel like on our end that you have to have a phone conversation. It's just an opportunity to discuss through the funding as best we can. And I know that this is hard, but we talk to a lot of our partners that are funders, grantors, that like also golf tournament, and what everybody's consistently seeing is that there's always more requests than there's funding available. This is for huge corporate partners. This is at United Ways around the state, and the same thing we're all asking ourselves is how do you get more money in the coffer? Is there more money to get in the coffer? How do you limit the how it stretches out through different funders, and is there a way to kind of bring it back in, or is that negatively impact agencies that already have relationships with funders that are giving them funding? And so those are things that we all talk through. We can send out in a newsletter too once they're finalized to all the agencies. We can include that in the partner agency newsletter that Lindsay's doing to make sure it's not vague and that it is transparent. Is there any more on that?
It would be helpful to know like what other information y'all might want to make it more transparent and less vague. I don't know. That was really all that the quote said, so I'm not really sure what else you're looking for, but we can try our best to give you that information.
Feel free to email us whatever that is. There might be specific situations, but in general, it really is that. Do you remember how many the total allocations asked?
Total asked, I think it was like 2.8.
Oh, okay. So almost 3 times the amount that we had available to allocate out. And so that's always hard. And I know that it never doesn't feel personal because your mission is so important and what you do is so important. And it never is personal, from what we've witnessed in the room. It's just a difficult process for volunteers to embark on. One thing we're focused on is trying to have more volunteers in the rooms, spread out that knowledge and that ability throughout the community. If there's anybody that you want to volunteer, they can email us. They want to volunteer. Now, if they're your board chair, they cannot review your application or weigh in on your funding application or your best friend, your super volunteer, anything like that. But they can serve in the general process and weigh in general about agencies. And so they have to recuse themselves. They step out of the room and things like that to make sure it's not impartial. But if there's anybody y'all know that you want to volunteer in the application process, it is wide open. And the way we decided as volunteers is we sent emails and direct contact with everybody who's done it in the recent years, and then we asked all of our corporate partners that give to serve, if they or send in one of their employees to serve on the committee. And so the idea is that the companies that are investing in the campaign are the companies that are making the decisions on how the dollars are invested in the community. And there's a lot of discussion, and you've got some people that are really loud in the room, you've got some people that are quiet in the room. And it's just, it's all about working it out to arrive at the number that we have available. But let us know, like Lindsay said, if there's any specific.
We got about 8 minutes.
Okay. One-on-one meeting, more one-on-one meetings with United Way team or employees. I'm wide open anytime. I know right when I was kind of serving as interim, I did coffee chats. I'm happy to bring those back. We probably have maybe 50% participation. And we're still willing to do that. Anytime you want to get coffee or lunch, I'll come by, email me. We're also going to come back to doing the speaking at a board meeting. So we'll be sending an email about that. We'd love to speak at a board meeting about our priorities and what we're focused on. Anytime, please know y'all can reach me. Cell phone number 251-458-2887. You can call me, text me anytime, and I want to be supportive in any way that I can. And then this is just, we're going to kind of change from the partner agency meetings to having forums and discussions. We got a somewhat useful partner agency meetings. Most of the literal feedback about that was like no more reporting out at the end. So we're gonna get rid of that. But if you have something to say, please let us know. These are training topics. So we'll look at incorporating some specific trainings like how we're doing today. We're having the partner agency meeting first and an Alice training afterwards. We'll start doing that with some different topics. If y'all have one that you really want, feel free to email us what that is. Collaboration, yes. Hosting trainings. This was more of like a balance in us hosting like a basics training. I think a lot of people on maybe was like depends on what it is about. So turn it over to Lindsay for community impact update.
Okay. I'm gonna fly through these, but I am gonna reiterate that I'm available whenever. My cell phone number is at the bottom of my signature in my emails, and you get a lot of emails from me. We did want to reiterate our partner agencies, and kind of talk about the impact areas. One thing that was listed in that survey was that y'all wanted to know who of our partner agencies did what type of services so that y'all could collaborate outside of our meetings, and figure out ways that y'all could be supportive to each other. So I kind of tried to break y'all down. Worldwide gave us these kind of like generic categories in which the impact areas served. So I kind of tried to look at what y'all do as agencies and break y'all down into the one best topic for you. On the application this year for partnership, you'll notice that there's one space for you to fill out what impact area you feel like you best fall in. Most of you serve more than one impact area, and we love y'all for that. But for this specific question, it'll just be like where you think you best fall. So we've got youth opportunities, financial security, healthy communities, and then community resiliency. Okay, now moving to partnership. we are gonna send those out, so if y'all have any questions, or if y'all feel like I put you into the just worst category that you could ever fall into, please let me know and I'll move you as an editable PowerPoint.
Hey, Lindsay, to follow up on the right-hand side of the screen over there, the bullet points that you saw with that question about the funding priorities could seem vague. This is part of the United Way Worldwide's new branding guideline. Like, this is the direction that, not just the impact area, but these specific items are the directions that the United Ways are going. So like flip back through here. So these are the priority funding areas. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you aren't in that bullet point that you're not going to receive funding. But these are just how United Way's talking about shipping agencies of thriving United Ways. This is the direction that we're all heading in.
Okay, so like Justine mentioned, we moved to a new platform. I think that we've already had 5 or 6 people who have completely submitted their applications, so thank you. I hope that was an easier process for you. One of the questions that we got on our partner agency input form was that you wanted more clarification on the partnership timeline, so what that looks like. Our current partnership ends on June 30th, so if you were one of the 2024 to 2026 partner agencies, which you were because you're here, that partnership will end on June 30th. The website will shift to our new partners on July 1st of 2026. The funding cycle for current partner agencies, you will be able to request funding in the August of 2026 cycle. I know that last year, or last when we opened partnership in 2024, we kind of had some miscommunication about what funding was going to look like for new partner agencies. So any new partner agencies will have to wait a year before they can receive funding. So those agencies can request funding in August of 27. Y'all can request funding August of 26 to be paid out starting October 2026. Was that clear? This is the new platform. It's called Submittable. I just kind of did a very basic first 2 steps. So if you haven't started yet and have questions, this will at least get you started. You'll start by creating an account for yourself as a user. Once you've created that, then you'll be able to create your organization's profile. Like Justine mentioned, if you can't find yourself based on your EIN, that's because you haven't created yourself in our system yet. So even if you use another submittable for another organization, my understanding is that it has to be submitted through our platform. You won't be able to find yourself until that happens. Do y'all have any questions? We currently have 6 that have been completed, 17 are in draft form. And then 17 of our current partners have started or submitted their application so far. I did include the allocations from the 2024-2025 campaign, as well as the direct designations. So we allocated a total of like right under $1 million between our 4 county footprints. But 300,000 of that almost was designation. So y'all's direct designations has really increased over the past year or 2. Okay, any questions for me before we switch to resource development? I do feel like that was a lightning fast. So just reiterating that I am available, phone, text, visit. I love lunch.
Morning, everybody. Alrighty, I'm gonna be very brief. Mine is 1 slide. It's the current 2025-2026 campaign update. As you all know, our goal for this year is $3 million. We're sitting right around 76%, and that's actually likely increased as of yesterday because gifts and reporting are coming in every single day. We're kind of in our cleanup phase of the campaign where we've run a lot in the fall, and other United Ways are providing us with their complete updates with the detailed breakdowns of their staff and pledges and things like that. So we are on track to hit our goal. So we're very excited and proud about that. If y'all ever have any questions about the allocations process, if y'all hear from us with that invitation to join us for a partner agency or a corporate campaign meeting for y'all to come and speak. That likely is coming from myself, it's coming from Malcolm, and we hope to get another team member in place to help us with the fundraising piece. So we'll have that full fundraising team to really better serve y'all. And when that question of more direct designations, we hope to have our full team will really help to meet that need for y'all. So any questions about resource development? I did want to mention too that of course all of our partners typically run a campaign. That timeline, as you all know, over the last few years has been, our partners are usually invited to participate as the first businesses who run our campaigns in the June timeline. So once the partner process is complete, we'll be reaching out to schedule those early. But if that timeline does not work for anybody that's in this room, that's okay. Just communicate with us if that June, July timeframe isn't what's going to be best for y'all.
I've got more on the slide, but I don't want to be past it. Once I figure out how. Okay, this is just a reminder, please send me pictures. We've got all kinds of decorating ideas for the office as we've had our facelift. And so we need good representation from our agencies so that we can show people that come to our space the work that's being done in the community. So if you haven't already, please. Check your website listing. Everybody is on the page. These are click-throughs, and then you'll go to your listing. We've recently found out that for 2 years, we had the wrong address for one of the agencies. We pulled it from either the application or Google. So I guess before the end of the year, and then first of the year with the new folks. But y'all listed. So we try really, really hard to share things when we collaborate with you guys and with our corporate partners. But what we're finding is sometimes we're missing the mark a little. So we're going to start doing a toolkit for all of our initiatives, all of our events. And so this is just a sample of the one that went out for Austell. So it'll be a little bit about what the tournament was, how we are involved, and then some suggested phrasing for captioning in Facebook, Instagram, Reel, short video, our standard hashtags, our event, or whatever the hashtag that's going to be appropriate for that. And then all of our things so that you guys, when you talk about things that you're involved in that we are a part of, that you can tag us. So Dave Caring will have 2 versions, one that will go to the corporate people for what if they want to use, and then you guys will get one just to give you, a little support in that front. I'm going to briefly go through our events. 100 Days of Caring. We are about 2/3 of the way. Okay. And that is coming.
54 projects.
Okay, we're over halfway there. Yeah. Washington County Golf Tournament, May 9th. We are taking teams. Sorry.
And if y'all wanna come to that and set up, you're more than welcome to. It's a big community, about 90 golfers, 90 golfers coming out.
What?
Day. We've had some patients that set up there in the past, and you're welcome to come.
It's catching up.
But
It's catching up to itself, so if you push.
well, I don't think it's actually pushed. There it is. Okay. This is a new event for our emerging leaders pickleball tournament. So for our corporate partners or community members that aren't into golf, this is going to be a fun alternative. So that's going to be on June 20th at Pickle Rage. You can sign up Thursday now. We got more details to put together, but we are doing our first clay shoot. That's going to be at Soggy Bottom Lodge, which is in Linden. It's about an hour away from all 4 of the counties. So everybody's invited to participate, and wherever the person register is from, that's the county that will get that support. So all 4 counties are invited to join. We suspect it'll be more heavily the counties, but that's a new addition that we think will be a fun alternative to the standard golf tournament. And that's all I have. Do you want to come back up? Just close this out or,
Does anybody have any questions?
yeah, does anyone have any questions?
Alec is here, he's joined us in the past, but I know we started a little bit late from our technology, so if y'all have any questions for any of us, feel free to ask.
I feel like though, we probably have about 5 minutes. Guys need to wanna take a break, get some snacks while we switch over the presentations.
Any questions? Snack break there, so y'all, these main bathrooms where you see all the signs pointing to, don't go there. They're broken, but there is a bathroom. If you go down this hallway, take a right, there's a door and it doesn't have any sign on it. It is a bathroom.
But that means the general public is probably not in there.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Oh, yeah.
Lindsay set this up, but that's what it looks like. Yeah, it looks like we've got a HDMI and then we've also got it plugged in for power. I'm gonna put this here. I don't want it to turn on. Oh,
It is.
You guys will just give us a few minutes. We're getting set up and ready for the Alice training.
Paging all the community partners back to the auditorium. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning so far. Yeah, awesome. Well, my name is Alec Hopkins. I am with United Ways of Alabama. We are the state association for United Ways of Alabama, based in Montgomery, Alabama. I did do a lot of mission advancement work with the state association, running the state combined campaign that we do with the state of Alabama and some other fundraising efforts. But I'm also tasked with leading Allison in Alabama, which you're going to hear a little bit more about today. But really quickly, before I jump in, I want to meet you really quickly. So on the count of three, everybody shout out your name to me. 1, 2, 3. Pleasure to meet you. I'm so excited to be with you today. And first off, I just want to thank Justine and her incredible team for having me out this morning. Allison in Alabama is a new initiative that we launched in June of last year. And this is a statewide report that talks about really a hidden struggle that for many years families have somewhat faced alone. And since the economic recession in 2020, that struggle has really started to be illuminated on a national scale, and with a lot of just real factors that people are facing. And now United Way is doing everything we can to kind of sound the alarm and bring some viable attention to this and advocate for the many families in Alabama that are struggling to get by. So this groundbreaking report has the potential to really shift the landscape of financial security in our state as it fuels dialogue around current issues, improving the lives of so many households that are bringing families closer to financial stability. So again, a little bit more about me. I'm the project lead for Alice in Alabama. When United Way of Alabama first started exploring the Alice report in August of 2024 now, right after I came on with the state association, I was like many of you in the room today, didn't have a great level of familiarity with what Alice was, with the details of the report, who Alice is and how we can help. But as we have journeyed through the various stages of launching this report, and now our last year and are now coming up on the 2026 State of Alice report that will be released in May, my passion for Alice and this movement and supporting Alice households has and will only continue to grow. And I hope you join me in that passion by the end of this presentation today. Partly because I grew up in an Alice household, and then when I got my first job straight out of college, I was still Alice. And but the contents of the Alice report and the heart of this movement are so incredibly impactful today because it reveals this huge and hidden portion of the population that is struggling to make ends meet. And it's really a light bulb moment for so many people when we start to talk about this. And you can say, this is something I've been feeling, but now I actually have concrete data and information to put behind it. So I've introduced myself, you've introduced yourself, now let me introduce you to Alice. So who is Alice? Alice stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, and Employed. These are the households above the federal poverty level, but still not earning enough to meet the cost of basics. Alice is a part of every community, every age, every race, and every demographic that you can think of. So one thing that we like to put out informationally in talking about this is that the Alice measurements provide a very comprehensive, unbiased picture of households that are struggling financially. Within the last 20 years alone, our country has faced crippling economic recessions at various points. And while nationally we have made great strides in recovering from that instability, there is still a significant portion of the population in each state that are struggling to keep up. And that population is Alice. It is the portion of the population that is above the federal poverty level, but still not earning enough to get by. They represent essential workers that fuel Alabama's economy, yet cannot afford the basic cost of living. They're facing impossible decisions on a day-to-day basis. I'm sure many of you can relate to some of those decisions, whether you're deciding to pay rent or childcare on a given month, you're paying the grocery bill, paying for medicine. And these difficult choices cause a very severe strain on Alice households and have a ripple effect throughout the community. So in Alabama, 46% of the population are below the Alice threshold, which corresponds to the survival budget for any given household size, which shows the bare minimum average income that a household needs to afford the basic cost of living. The research shows again that 46% of Alabama's population falls below the Alice threshold. Just to give you a little bit more information and insight on this, and if I'm moving too fast through these slides at any point, I will send this out to you at the end, so don't worry about all the information in front of you. There are over 2 million households in Alabama. And I want to preface that by saying, and I'm underlining the word households, not individuals. The individual population in Alabama is much higher than 2 million, but there are 2 million households that this research focuses around. Of all those people, 16% of those are households that are below the poverty level, and the other 30% is Alice. Those households that are above the federal poverty level, yet still not earning enough to get by. Together, that makes an overwhelming 46% of households on average across Alabama that are struggling to get by. So I want you to think for a second if you met Alice today. If you stop for coffee on your way to work, if you drop your car off with a mechanic, if you had a conversation with the home health aide of an aging parent, if you said hi to the receptionist in your office, you more than likely met Alice. The key point of this report is that Alice lives in every community across every state, but more importantly, our communities can't function without Alice. Child care workers, salespeople, people that we interact with in the grocery store line, they are Alice, and my life would be a lot harder without Alice. So most households in the Southwest Alabama area, the 4 counties that United Ways of Southwest Alabama serves are below the Alice threshold. 51% of households in Choctaw, Clark, Mobile, and Washington counties, 51% of households in the Southwest Alabama area are below the Alice threshold. So more than likely, you encounter Alice a lot on a daily basis. And just to begin giving you the raw data and the real numbers, when we say the Alice threshold or the Alice household survival budget, you're probably wondering what those specific numbers are. And when I said at the beginning of this presentation that this is very comprehensive data, these numbers can actually be customized, ranging up to 10, 12 people in a household. I pray you don't have that many children for your sake and your sanity, but the data is very customizable. And just to give you some raw numbers on very basic household makeups, for an adult over the age of 65, the average household survival budget in Southwest Alabama is $31,932 a year. For a family of 4 with an infant and a preschooler, the average household survival budget is $76,440. For a single adult under the age of 65, like myself, the average household survival budget is $27,984. But I want you to notice something, that for each of the household types listed here, the household survival budget is either nearly double or more than double the federal poverty level. The household survival budget is a holistic and comprehensive view of the actual cost of living in Alabama, the bare minimum that somebody needs to truly get by. And the components of the survival budget are housing, childcare, food, transportation, healthcare, technology, which includes cell phone and internet, a 10% miscellaneous overrun cost for random things, and then of course taxes, because of course we all pay taxes. It's important to note that this survival budget truly is the bare minimum. It does not consider extra costs for things like car repairs or medical expenses. It doesn't look at a small percentage for savings or emergency retirement, or even the cost of cable TV or streaming services, which I guarantee everybody in this room has in some shape or fashion. It is legitimate, just the bare minimum of what a household needs. 51% of the population in Southwest Alabama and 46% in Alabama as a whole are below these thresholds. So just again, to begin digging into the data and what is the driving force behind this report, the following graph takes the household survival budget for a family of 4 from the previous slide and compares it to the full-time wages of 2 common Alabama occupations, which is a personal care aide earning around, on average, about $11.45 per hour in Alabama, and then a stock worker or an order filler, so somebody working at Walmart or bringing groceries out to you, earning about $15.37 per hour on average in Alabama. In 2023, the household annual income fell short of basics by over $21,000, or 28% of their annual income. Furthermore, this graph shows that the federal government measures underestimate the cost of basics and the number of households facing financial hardship. So by now you're familiar with the federal poverty level, and this graph also takes it into consideration the supplemental poverty measure listed here, which extends the federal poverty measure by accounting for several government programs that are designed to assist low-income households, but are not included in the official poverty calculations. And then the 15% area median income is a calculation that HUD uses to determine housing program eligibility in metro areas. So as you can see, the ALICE metric far exceeds all of these government measurements, and especially the federal poverty level. So to continue giving you some of the data within the Alabama report, for certain demographics and household types, there is a disproportionate effect that the financial hardship has due to several factors and systemic issues. For example, in Southwest Alabama, 78% of adults under the age of 25 are below the ALICE threshold. 66% of Black households are below the ALICE threshold. 48% of Hispanic households are below the ALICE threshold. And then when I get to this next slide, it's always a very staggering number, one that all of us are braced for. 82% of single moms in Alabama are below the ALICE threshold. 49% of single dads in Alabama are below the ALICE threshold, and just 14% of married parent households that likely have two incomes are below the ALICE threshold. So as you can see, there's a significant disproportionate effect between the various head of household types. Why? Because when you're relying on one income to sustain a family, the volatility that stems from life circumstances takes a much larger toll, and that for a single mom, when one of her children is sick, she's either having to pick between staying home and taking care of her child, or going into work and not having to miss a day's wages. And then when we start hearing about the financial burdens that households are facing, we often think, well, that's what the government is, right? So why don't these households just apply for public assistance? Due to income and asset limits, which is again harkens back to the acronym itself, asset limited, income constrained, and employed, most households do not meet the eligibility criteria for public assistance programs. Other barriers that prevent participation, even for eligible households, include a lack of awareness of programs, language barriers, stigma, and the administrative burden of accessing benefits. In 2023, 44% of households below the federal poverty level participated in SNAP benefits. Just 17% of ALICE households, those above the federal poverty level, participated. For TANF, which is the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, which often offers cash assistance and job trainings for households in need, only 4% of poverty households and 2% of ALICE households participated. However, according to the Administration for Children and Families, as of 2022, Alabama had $123 million reserved in TANF funds going unused. So obviously, the resources are there. It's just either that the eligibility criteria are too great for households that are truly in need to be able to access, or that there just isn't an awareness of those programs and benefits, which is where the ALICE report comes in and attempts to create awareness and education and really bring about some real change where these programs are concerned. So I'm going to stop for a second. That's a lot of information. Are there any questions so far before I continue moving on? Yeah.
You know where this town?
I'm not sure that's a very broad statewide number. I'm not sure what that would be for Mobile County, but I'm sure that the data is out there. So, any other questions? Awesome. Let's keep going. So the impact of economic instability on children and families, obviously the work that United Way does and that the community impact that we attempt to bring about is heavily focused on children and families. So we always want to present this lens when we're talking about financial instability and the work that needs to be done. The toll that's created for many households is truly a hidden struggle. Because these essential workers that serve as the backbone of Alabama's economy aren't earning truly enough to meet certain thresholds, and whether that's state or federal. And there is often an overlooked and sometimes invisible struggle that ALICE households face, or there's this stigma among those outside of these situations who tout sentiments like, I hear this one all the time when we begin talking about ALICE. They just need to budget differently, or they just need to stop spending so much on useless things, or that they just need to get a higher paying job. How many of you would love a higher paying job? How many of you would look for a higher paying job? How many of you think you can budget differently and structure your dollar a little more? You might be able to a little bit, but not enough to meet a $21,000 cap for a family. Because Alice is an essential and a hard worker, Alice often gets overlooked by the community, by policymakers, and by leaders responsible for enacting change. And so there's this ripple effect that begins to occur that illuminates this hidden struggle, not just Alice's household, but also on their families as well. And so when we start looking at the greater struggle and challenges that Alice households face, such as food literacy, Alice households are 5 times more likely to report that they often do not have enough food. In terms of mental health, people below the Alice threshold are more likely to report mental health challenges due to the negative impact of financial stress. There is a physical bodily vitriol reaction that occurs whenever I have an unexpected car repair that comes up or a medical bill or something like that. A lot of you know what I'm talking about there. That is something that Alice households face every single day, and the mental strain that stems from that is so much higher. Physical health challenges. Alice households often don't have medical insurance, or because of lack of savings, cannot afford the procedures. And then this last one in particular, I know for a fact that Southwest Alabama can relate to natural disasters, and that if it's not hurricane season in Alabama, it's tornado season, or there's some natural disaster that's always going on. There's snowpocalypse in which 6 inches of snow absolutely devastates the region in some way. But financially insecure households disproportionately bear the impact of crises and disasters, living in housing communities, increased risks, hazards, and severe storms. Or if a hurricane sweeps through the area, if a tornado sweeps through the area and demolishes a business, an Alice worker, because they're an hourly worker, they can't go to work because repairs are having to be done on their workplace, and so they're out of the job for the time being, and they don't have any savings. They don't have an emergency fund, which puts them in a very, very, very compromising position. And then we continue to look at some of the key insights, such as the biological toll, and that Alice children face up to 23% higher cortisol levels, accelerating aging by up to 10 years, or the developmental setbacks, or the family functioning that's disrupted and strain may trigger harsher caregiving, which undermines emotional development. And then you keep going and looking at the fact that studies show that children who face extreme stress and disruptive hardship before age 5 earn 13% less by age 27 and face higher rates of teen pregnancy, incarceration, early death. The list goes on and on of the impact that these kinds of strains have on Alice households. Questions? Comments? Wow. I'm going to skip over this next slide just because I've got another story that I want to present to you. Let me see. So the barriers that Alice households face are often not of their own making, and there are many economic, systemic, and conditional circumstances that play against this portion of the population. This is where the report really starts to get meaty, and it can kind of, we begin to drown this portion out. But if there are any number nerds like me in the room, you might lean in a little bit up on this one. But one of the crux of the Alice report really starts to come in when we look at a lot of the federal measurements and metrics that play into government assistance, eligibility, and a lot of the metrics. So let's take the Consumer Price Index, for example. The Consumer Price Index measures inflation by taking taking into consideration price changes for goods and services. This is an incredibly important metric within the U.S. because it is primarily used to adjust the eligibility thresholds for government assistance programs like SNAP and Medicaid, and it also calculates the cost of living increases for Social Security and other income payments. The costs associated with the Alice Household Survival Budget are only going up year after year. From 2007 to 2023, the average annual rate of increase for the ALICE Essentials Index, which is the methodology used in this report, was 3% in Alabama. And by contrast, the Consumer Price Index only increased by 2.5%. And when you're talking about the broad change in goods and services, even that 0.5 percentage point makes a huge difference when we're talking about the impact on families. And then when 3% for the ALICE Essentials Index, 2% for the KPI and the CPI, while the median wage for one of the most common occupations during that same period, 2007 to 2023, only increased by 2.7%. Meaning that the gap is only growing wider and the financial burden is only increasing for ALICE households. And I think all of us can really relate to this graph, especially regardless of whether you're ALICE or not, because the sharp rise in inflation over the last few years, the recent spike in gas prices and in grocery prices has had a crippling effect on so many people. But this data shows that ALICE households are disproportionately bearing the brunt of that economic strain. And then the Consumer Price Index obviously is a key performance metric for many programs that are vital for households below the ALICE threshold. But because the CPI often underestimates the real, tangible, realized impact of the cost of goods, there are several policy gaps that start to occur, such as inflation. The Federal Reserve Bank's mandate from Congress is to promote the maximum employment, stable prices, moderate, long-term interest rates. Yet the current measures of these factors conceal ALICE workers' fragile employment due to variable hours, seasonal fluctuations, and the gap between earnings and the rising cost of goods. All of that is underestimated in inflation due to the Consumer Price Index and a lot of policy gaps. Thus, policy designed to dampen inflation by raising interest rates to slow wage growth and tamp down the labor market misses the mark for a significant portion of the population, and that's one of the things that the ALICE report draws attention to. And then you start to get into Social Security and supplemental security income. Each year, Social Security and supplemental security income make a cost of living adjustment, which is based on the Consumer Price Index. But the cost of many of the essential goods purchased by typical households that receive these benefits often increase far faster for ALICE households. For example, in 2022, the average benefit for Social Security was $1,825 per month, which is $21,000. Almost $22,000 annually. But if you remember back in one of the first slides that I shared with you, someone receiving Social Security over the age of 65, what was the household survival budget for that one individual? It was over $30,000. So Social Security alone falls short of that by almost $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 in Alabama. And then you take into consideration that many people who are receiving Social Security benefits, particularly in Alabama, are also the unintentional caregiver for a grandchild, a niece, a nephew, somebody that a friend's child that they're just trying to do a good deed. And so that income insecurity that they're facing isn't just on them; it's also on whoever they're taking care of at that time. But in any case, almost $12,000. $10,000 that they're falling short of in a particular year. And then you start to get into retirement benefits for veterans. Veteran retirement benefits are adjusted annually according to the Consumer Price Index with the stated goal of protecting them from inflation. Yet these increases in benefits are not nearly enough to cover increases in the household essentials that older Americans rely on. And then you start to get into tax brackets and credits. And the IRS uses the what's called the chain Consumer Price Index to adjust income tax brackets and credits like the child tax credit and the earned income tax credit, with the goal of having tax brackets keep pace with inflation. But the chain CPI grows even more slowly than the actual CPI does in the actual cost of basics, in which bracket creep starts to occur, in which people are moved into income brackets with higher tax rates, but without any increase in real income. This also impacts the value of child tax credits and the earned income tax credit, in effect diminishing their value over time, all because the measurements used to determine a lot of these metrics and programs is a lot slower than the actual cost of living. So I want to ask you this and pose this question to you, because obviously you're on the front lines of this on a daily basis. What policy gaps do you see in Southwest Alabama or statewide in Alabama that this data and this report is kind of starting to move in your mind? Where are the gaps that you encounter on a daily basis? How can this report and this data really start to inform that? For the programs that are available for Alice households, specifically those still in the labor force, there is this steep ledge that a lot of Alice households are staring off of. Income and asset limits for public assistance program creates what we call benefit cliffs that limit economic mobility. For example, for Alice households considering a pay raise, they have to consider if even a dollar raise will make them ineligible for the public assistance that they're already receiving. So while their take-home pay from work may increase, it might not be enough to fully supplement the public assistance that they're receiving, making it infeasible for them to even take a dollar raise. So do I take the raise or do I lose my public assistance? And then beyond the economic barriers, there are also other conditions that often exacerbate the financial strain, whether that's, urban versus rural. A lot of people assume that urban areas have a much higher rate of Alice households than rural areas do. The exact opposite is true. For example, in Perry County, which is one of Alabama's most rural counties, 76% of its population is below the Alice threshold, whereas in Jefferson County, one of the most urban areas in Alabama, only 45% is below the Alice threshold. And we've already talked about natural disasters. We touched a little bit on healthcare, and no emergency funds or savings means that Alice households often can't afford regular doctor's visits, eye care, dental care, as well as prescription drugs, making them prone to physical health challenges. Furthermore, if an emergency health procedure is needed, Alice households face crippling medical debt that will stick with them for years. And all of us can relate to facing financial stressors during things like home renovations or sending kids to college or worrying about the balance of our retirement accounts. But Alice households face financial stressors about their grocery bill week to week, leading to mental health challenges. These financial strains are even further exacerbated by the everyday unaccounted for expenses that all of us face, but might make or break an Alice household, such as an impossible choice like your infant is too sick to return childcare tomorrow. Do you hire a babysitter or do you stay home and lose a day's wages? That's an impossible decision that Alice households face every single day. Another impossible decision, your partner needs a textbook for a promising opportunity, but the heat is out in your apartment, or this time the AC just went out in your apartment. Do you buy a textbook or do you replace the air conditioner? Another impossible decision. Your toddler's birthday is coming up, but you're also due for a medication refill. Do you throw a party for your child or do you pay for your medication? This one kind of seems like a no-brainer. Get the medication. But it points to a reality that a lot of households face, and that I want to provide a great childhood for my kid. I want them to be in extracurricular activities. I want them to have all the great experiences that other kids are having that really shape their child and give them great memories and set them on a great path in life. But I can't afford it. I can't afford the basics. And then you start to get into all the unexpected expenses, storm damage to the windshield of your car, to the flat tire. All of these unexpected expenses are expenses that Alice households cannot bear because they're already struggling to get by. But there is always a path forward, and together, everybody in the room today, the conversations that we start as a result of having this knowledge, as a result of having this data, we can begin to help Alice rise and create a future that Alice households can count on. So I want you to meet Iris. Iris was a part of the launch that we did with the Alice report in June of last year, and she shared a very compelling story of what it looks like to once be an Alice household, but move to the other side of that. So, I lost this off my head. I think I'm going to pay no attention to my head. Iris is from Dale County, Alabama, and just a couple of years ago, she was facing a really, really tough season in life. She just gone through a miscarriage. She was facing a lot of mental health and physical challenges, and she was also going through a financial crisis. But then one day, she called a number which a lot of us, I hope you're familiar with, and that United Way is very passionate about. Iris called 211. And from that call with 211 health specialists, Iris was able to get connected with community resources that really began to change the trajectory of her life. And that from that 211 call, she was connected with the A Reset program that United Ways of Alabama runs with 18, 19 partners across the state, in which job training and job placement is offered. Because of that 211 call and being connected with the A Reset program, she was then connected with the Mary Hill Center in Ozark, Alabama, in which she was given a job as an administrative assistant. She received hands-on job training and a lot of growth and development. And then from that point, she was had the opportunity to receive a job with an accounting firm, in which she's now making above the Alice threshold for her particular household size, and is really on a great path in life. And there came a point when Iris was presenting her story at the launch event for Alice, that I, this was a digital webinar, and I had to off my camera, because when she uttered these words, the tears just started running. And then she said, I know what crisis feels like, but I also know what hope feels like. And that because I was connected with 211, because I was connected with United Way, because I was connected with Mary Hill Center, I received all of these resources and these benefits that really helped to move me from a point of financial crisis to a point of financial stability. And that's the story that we're looking to promote for households across Alabama that are struggling to get by. We want them to be able to experience the same level of security that Iris experienced because of the access that she had, all these benefits, programs, and resources that were at her disposal. So pathways to economic resilience. How do we take stories like Iris's and replicate that throughout Southwest Alabama and Alabama as a whole? United Way has a vast network of community partners like you that we're hoping can help us in improving the lives of Alice households. In areas like early childhood education, asking the question, how can we invest in school-age children and parents through child care programs? One of the biggest obstacles that Alice households face is affordable child care. How many of you have a child in child care right now, or you have in the past few years? I used to work for a church that had a daycare inside of it, and I hated having to raise tuition costs at that daycare, because I knew it was going to place an even greater strain on the households in that daycare facility. In many cases, child care for infants and toddlers is often more than monthly rent. It is so incredibly high. In workforce development, how can we ensure that individuals eager to work and in need of a job receive quality workforce and skills training? Alabama has a higher than average percentage of those out of the workforce, so partnering with programs like A Reset is vital in building a strong Alabama workforce. Developing programs that invest in the areas in this area pays dividends in larger community, because when households in a given community have the security, that there is economic advancement that happens across the board. And then in housing and transportation continue to be a stressor for many households, as rent and mortgages follow the volatility of the greater economy. And it's a stretch for Alice households to afford current housing prices, and they often don't qualify for housing subsidies. So it's up to us to consider how we can help improve that situation, whether it be through advocacy efforts, through changing our own eligibility criteria efforts of our own programs, while also advocating with state and local governments to expand affordable housing. Then access to resources is a crucial piece of this framework for each of us to consider. With the eligibility criteria of many of our nonprofit assistance programs, Alice households have historically been left out because they don't quite fall in the general sense of being in need. So we need to ask the question, how can we reevaluate our systems and our policies to be more inclusive of this larger segment of the population? United Way has always been laser focused on rallying and supporting the nonprofit sector of our communities, which is why we're sounding the alarm for the Alice movement. And there must be an intentional alignment of resources, programs, and advocacy to help the Alice households in our community reach a point of financial stability. And then there are some other ways in which a vast number of sectors such as credit unions, transportation systems, hospitals and utility services, employers, policymakers can really rally around the ALICE framework. And particularly where our corporate partners are concerned, we want to be able to provide them with the data and resources to really understand how they're serving ALICE households that may be in their workplace and employed by them. So moving forward together, we all have different but equally important roles in helping ALICE households reach financial stability. And it is important that we, as the nonprofit sector, and allow voices for those in our communities move forward together in enacting change. And so you've seen and heard the overview of the ALICE report here. And so now I want you to consider what would happen if all the households in Southwest Alabama earned enough to cover the cost of basics. The challenges and hardship factors facing ALICE households will begin to ease. There will be a significant positive boost in economic activity, and financial resilience across communities would substantially begin to increase. Then consider what your next step as an individual, as an organization might be. I tell people all the time that the ALICE report is a conversation starter, and it's a dialogue tool that will lead to broader and real change. Spreading the word about ALICE, allowing it to become a part of your organization's language, and using this amazing framework to help acquaint so many people with this hidden portion of the population. But what the ALICE report also does, and as we've had conversations around the state, it puts data and information behind the suspicion that a lot of people have already had. I knew that there was a struggle out there, but now I'm actually able to articulate that struggle. When I'm applying for grant funding as a nonprofit organization, I now have real data to be able to support the strain and the percentage of the population my organization is trying to employ. Nonprofits use the ALICE data and metrics consistently in grant writing, and I'll encourage you to do so as well. United Ways of Alabama has fully sponsored the cost of this report to be able to offer it statewide. So I would encourage you to go to unitedforalice.org/Alabama, dig into the report and all of the dashboard tools to really understand for yourself what goes into this and what the implications are, and then consider what your next step might be. And I would encourage you also, because one question that comes up when we start talking about what's next in terms of the ALICE report is, how does this report practically get applied in a real context for nonprofits, for United Ways, and across sectors? And there's a great page on United for ALICE's website called ALICE in Action, in which success stories and examples of real ways in which the report is being enacted are constantly updated. And so I would encourage you to go check out the ALICE in Action page as well, to kind of spark some ideas in which this report can really be beneficial to you and your organization. But above all else, I want to say thank you for taking the time to be here, for being a community partner with United Ways of Southwest Alabama, and for the amazing, tremendous work that you're doing in the community on a daily basis. Thank you for your leadership and for your investment. You truly are making a difference, and if you don't hear that enough here from me today, you're appreciated. We love the work that you do. United Way is behind you. We're supporting you, and we're here to resource you however we can. If you want more information to get involved in Alabama further, or need any additional information, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be right down here somewhere. I've got a business card that I would love to give to you and get connected with you further, and really be able to support you in helping out ALICE households. Any questions? Any questions? None at all. Yeah. I do. Yeah, I work for the state association in Montgomery. Yeah, I'm the project lead for ALICE in Alabama. I run a lot of state level fundraising campaigns and do a lot of advocacy and public policy work with United Ways State Association. Yes, that's it. And the study is actually not over. We had a 2025 report that we released in June of last year, and then we have 2 subsequent reports that will be coming out in May of this year, and then in May of 2027 as well, that will kind of provide updated data and reporting on where ALICE stands in Alabama, and how this demographic is changing and fluctuating based on, you know, updated factors. Because the 2025 report, that there's a data lag period that occurs. And so the 2025 report was actually based on 2023 data. And so the 2026 report was based on 2024 data. And then by the time we get to the 2027 report, we'll have a full picture of how Alice has truly changed since we launched it. So, yeah. Yeah, so the data comes from United Way of Northern New Jersey. Dr. Stephanie Hoops is the mind behind the Alice report, and has been leading this effort since 2012, 2013, so somewhere in that range. And they really set out, United Way of Northern New Jersey, I believe it was maybe Monroe County in New Jersey, several years ago. They set out to answer the question, what would it take to eradicate poverty in Monroe County, New Jersey? And I'm probably getting that county wrong, so don't quote me on this, but the story is right. They wanted to eradicate poverty in that particular area, so they implemented all these different measures and procedures and programs, and said, all right, we've gotten every household above the federal poverty level in this area of New Jersey. And then as they began to step back and analyze the real impact of the report, they said, wait a second. All of these households are above federal poverty level, but their struggle hasn't actually changed. Why is that? And that's where the Alice measurement came from, and that federal poverty measure has not been updated since it came out in 1969. I want you to think about just with a house, the price of a house, probably about $85,000 in 1969. It's not that anymore. And so these measurements are incredibly outdated. And so with the Alice report and the methodology that Dr. Hoops and United Way of Northern New Jersey and United for Alice and the research team there have comprised, they really began to comprehensively show what the actual cost of living is in relation to a lot of those outdated federal poverty measures. So that's where the report comes from. And you go onto the United for Alice website, you can see a comprehensive look at that methodology and everything that plays into it. And the interesting thing about the Alice report is that all of this data that is in the Alice report actually comes from federal agencies and the federal government. And so we're just using the data that's already there being used by the federal government to kind of update the cost of living and the framework. Yeah. I would love to get your information. I am not on the research side of things. I'm really just a voice, but I would love to get that question in front of Dr. Hoops and her team. But I believe on a recent call that I was on, somebody else raised that same question about how a lot of federal government changes that have happened over the last year and a half are going to affect this data, and they're consistently looking at that and updating that. So I'd love to give you an answer from that, Dr. Hoops.
We had an online question asking if the state of Alabama is creating any programs to address or alleviate Alice.
That is the goal of this report, is to really gain awareness and traction, and then from the comprehensive network of community partners, corporate sponsors, and government agencies that United Way is connected with, really asking the question, what kind of policy changes can be implemented to really begin addressing the needs and the changes of the Alice households, and then across sectors, how can we begin to address this? The stage that the Alice in Alabama is currently in is really just an educational stage of getting the information in front of the right people, in front of those change makers who can then take that and implement it in particular ways, because programs are incredibly contextual when it comes to Alice households, and that there is something that every single sector can do to support Alice households, and we want to be able to start the conversation. Any other questions?
Putting in one of the points that y'all know, United Ways of Alabama is a separate nonprofit entity that has.
Sorry? Yes.
And so Alabama wants to run statewide campaign. So
I leave funding efforts for you.
I think for that as well, and he does give himself credit, pretty incredible. He wants to do really good in this thing first, but now, a couple of years ago, United Ways of Alabama started a discussion about Alabama data and started research and they have employees, but their board is made up of directors of all the United Ways around the state.
One of which is something we appreciate it. 20.
20, so we do need. Montgomery went out and then he will very well and a lot of y'all. And we are for these successes, and we just have to. So this kind of the beginning of it's an expansion. So we want to bring out your letter. Partner group, and it was just that thing that we got coach and get to go. We said 50% of people in the council are living now. And so that's amazing. So anyway, we go and we hear about the data. Incredible, small. They also did say a number of this open operates take place. And limiting your expansive work. In other areas of the
Right. There are many.
Just asked if Alice data, going to spend Alice data funding. One of our partner agencies asked if Alice data would have to be submitted in funding reports, and they answered no. The data comes from federal government census records and the things that happen. So y'all won't need. I know you'll probably have some global results framework PTSD from when we had to get off that data. Maybe not if they were to have the agencies that was in the reports this year. They're not doing that. They have this is totally separate. So you will have to submit this particular data. Yeah, sorry, online. So United Ways of Alabama is a separate organization headquartered in Montgomery that is made up of 5 incredible employees that do a lot of work across the state. And then the board that governs the organization is each director for the 20 United Ways across the state. So if there's ever anything that y'all want shared at the state level, we go to quarterly in-person meetings and they've reached out anytime. He agreed to come here just like that from Montgomery this morning, right early. And we are extremely appreciative for you too. So please let me know when we try to bring our voice to our region, Montgomery, and say it loud. It's a really incredible network to see and learn from other United Ways, things they've done that work really well, things that haven't worked so well, so we don't have to test them out here by the but they're really wonderful people that all love their communities, are super passionate about where they live. Lindsay just spent some time with Walter's team member in last week to kind of learn best practices from their allocations and some of their community impact work as well. So we really lean on each other a lot. They reach out to us, see how we're doing, and it's a great network to be involved in. I can be a voice for y'all there. It's like,
I'm good.
any more questions about anything that we covered today? I know it's a lot. Appreciate it.